Welcome to Service Trucks USA. I'm your host, KJ Johnson, and I am certainly glad you're here. Today's show is brought to you live from NTEA in Indianapolis, where I'm pleased to have as a guest Mr. Juan Ibarra. You'll know him from Gold Rush and Mine Rescue and several other great shows on Discovery, and he was my guest, and I'm so glad you guys are going to get a chance to meet him up close and personal. Enjoy. Hey everybody, it's KJ and this is Service Trucks USA. We're ending day number 3 at NTEA Work Truck Week, and I got a special treat for you. You've seen this guy, he's kind of famous, you've seen him on television, you've seen him working in Alaska. This is Mr. Juan Ibarra, and you know, I kind of was chasing him around the show and asking him if he'd come on the show and be my guest. And he was so kind. You know, he's been busy. He's working for 2 different manufacturers here. He's got 2 trucks in the show. So he is by far one of the most popular guys here. And the fact that he took a few minutes to hang out with me and us is just a great big way of saying thank you, man. So I appreciate you very much.
Not a problem, not a problem.
So what we're doing is a little different. Normally we would record it and it'd be all video, just audio, but I decided to use the iPhone and we're gonna do a little video at the same time. So first of all, I wanted to say not only thank you, but how the hell did you manage to get all these guys to support you? You got a big old booth over in Powfinger, you got your truck there, and here you are at Mack Trucks. So tell me, have you always been a superstar and celebrity, or how did this get started?
Not at all. You know, it all started back about 8 years ago, and actually one of the companies that I first approached me was C-Tech Manufacturing.
Okay.
And they're a great company to work with. You know, to this day, they're one of my closest partners that I have. And honestly, they got the ball rolling on a lot of this for me.
Okay. So what happened? Like, how did the whole process of becoming the main mechanic on Gold Rush, how did that actually begin?
So you know, right now I'm on Gold Rush, but the series that we're on is called Mine Rescue with Freddy and Juan. So basically, Freddy, Dodge, and myself, we travel the country helping people with struggling gold mines. Now, at the time when I first started a lot of these relationships with these companies that I partnered with, I was on Gold Rush. I was working with the Hoffman crew, and then I was working with Tony Beats. And fortunately, I was able to get in contact with some of these great people. You know, Darren Cowan from C-Tech's great guy to work with. And you know, honestly, that was kind of the catalyst for a lot of these relationships that I have now with Powfinger, with Mack Trucks, and you know, Lincoln Electric. And these are companies that I work really closely with. You know, we got a great working relationship, but on top of that, I use their product, you know, day in, day out. On TV, off TV, you know, this is genuinely what I do. So I think that had a lot to do with the relationship that I have now, because they saw that, hey, this is not just a guy that's doing this on TV, but this is his business, this is what he does for a living, and that's what they want. They want to be able to have people represent their brand that genuinely do this in the field.
So when you and I had a chance to briefly chat yesterday, we talked about the fact that it was almost a fluke, right? When you first got that first invite, tell me about that. How did that first invite go?
So when I first got invited or got the job on Gold Rush,
yeah,
it really was. My brother-in-law, he's a massive fan of the show, and he constantly watches all the social media feeds for Gold Rush, and he actually saw that where they had posted and they were looking for a mechanic. They wanted people to apply for the job, so he bugged me for about a week or so. Hey, you should apply for the job, and I never did. You know, I said, I'm like, no, I'm good. At the time, I was working in Alaska, had a great contract, you know, and there was no reason for me to go elsewhere. But he bugged me for about 2 weeks, and then what ended up happening was he applied for me.
Okay.
So he actually sent my application out and everything else, and that started the whole ball, you know, the ball rolling for me.
How did was it an interview process? How did that go?
It was an interview. It was an interview process. Obviously, you know, on top of that, there was, you know, background checks and everything else. And then on top of that, they flew me to Las Vegas, put me in a piece of equipment, and really wanted to see if I could run equipment, if I could diagnose equipment, if I was able to, you know, talk to a camera and stuff like that. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they offered me a position, and I decided to go for it, and it was good. You know, it's been almost 10 years now, and you know, honestly, I don't regret any bit of it.
Now, one of the things when I was doing a little background just to learn a little bit more about you is you started off in the plumbing business, am I right?
Yeah. And to this day, we're still a licensed Nevada contractor. You know, we're a plumbing contractor, and we still do a lot of plumbing.
Okay.
But we've kind of expanded a little bit to where we do welding, fabricating, heavy equipment repair, and honestly, when I made the transition from plumbing into the mining industry, it was kind of a necessity.
Okay.
You know, we were at the point where the business wasn't doing well. You know, I'm a week away from going broke. I'm like, I need to figure out what I can do to keep paying my bills, and that's when I got into the mining industry. And the mining industry's treated me extremely well, so we stuck with it. And then the opportunity for Gold Rush came up, and we went with that too.
Now, did you do any mining? Were you actually mining for gold yourself?
No. Well, I was actually so when I first started working underground, and it was actually underground mining where I started working. I was a drill doctor is what they call it. So you basically, you're a repairman underground, that you repair anything that has to do with anything pneumatic.
Okay.
You know, winches, jack legs, you know, even drills, whatever we had to work on, you know, that's what I was repairing. And then it kind of evolved where I became the shop foreman, the superintendent, and stuff like that. So it happened really quickly.
Okay.
But you know, I think it was just an opportunity that presented itself, and I ran with it.
So when you began, tell me about your early life. Like when you're coming out of high school, did you have aspirations to go to college? Did you go to college? Tell me about high school, that transition.
I was always more on working with my hands. I was always, in my mind, I was always going to be a tradesman, and I really wanted to be. I wanted to be a plumber, but I wanted to own my own plumbing business since I was a kid. And I pretty quickly in 2004 is when I opened up my plumbing business, and I started my business in 2004. So that was a few years after I graduated, and that was always my aspiration to have my own business, my own plumbing business. And in high school, like a lot of kids, that are very mechanical and want to work with their hands, I wasn't a great student. When it came to a lot of the classes that I didn't want to be in, English, I was always decent at math, but I was always more drawn to, hey, I want the, elective credits like automotive class, welding class, iron, steel class, or whatever they called it at the time, and so that's what I really kind of stuck with.
I'm kind of curious. Do you think your life would have been different if those classes hadn't existed?
Absolutely. I think a lot of that is what really kind of sparked the interest. When you're in metals, class 1, 2, 3. It really kind of it opens up so many avenues for you to, hey, your creativity, you can let it flow. Like, you start seeing that, hey, I'm able to build stuff. There's this raw steel here. Whether I'm going to put it in a lathe or a mill, I'm going to build something, or if I'm going to cut it and weld it, I can build things. And that's what really kind of sparked that interest for me, where I started pushing my attention to that.
Now, one of the things that I'm curious about is that, were you doing other extracurricular activities? Were you in band? Were you in sports? Were you doing anything else?
No, I've never been into sports. I never did any band. Most of my free time outside of school, when I was going to school, was spent with my dad. I worked alongside my dad since I was a kid, and that's kind of what I did. Since an early age, about 8, 9 years old, I started working alongside my dad.
So, do you think that's what sparked your interest in wanting to own your own plumbing business, because your dad was working with his hands? Is that kind of what did it?
I think so, and my dad worked for a company, and I saw that, and I'm like, well, there's no reason why I can't do the same, but own my business, and be the guy in charge. And that's something that I always wanted to do.
How did you transition from opening your business to running a business, being self-employed? Like, how did you make that transition? Did you understand how to do accounting and in your books and your finance and your insurance? Did you know that?
Nothing whatsoever. It was a crash course.
Survival?
The school of hard knocks and just survival. And even to this day, now I've got people that help me with all that, because when it comes to the paperwork side of the business, I'm terrible. I'd much rather be in the field working alongside my guys and, doing what we do, building, fabricating, repairing heavy equipment. That's what I love to do. And so I think as a business owner, as a person that you're willing to take this on, you need to get key people involved that can take on those other tasks that you're not good at. And that's...
But you can't ignore them, because they'll come back and bite you, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, one question I always ask my guests is because I think it's important to talk about the whole life. I mean, your whole life can't be around working 90 hours a week and, you know, turning wrenches and fixing things. You got to have a whole life. You have to have relationships, right? So tell me about how are you married?
Absolutely, yeah.
You have kids?
Yep.
Okay, so your wife, kids, where did your wife fit into the whole picture of your life? How did that come about?
You know, my wife, she is genuinely the person that allows me, not even allows me, but makes it possible for me to be able to do what we do, whether it's on my business, whether it's going on the road with the TV show. She's really the person she's my backbone.
Okay.
You know, she helps me out with every aspect of what we do, and that's most important. You know, for me, if I don't have a strong relationship at home, you know, then really everything else suffers.
How do you keep yourself balanced in terms of spirituality or just in life? Do you incorporate? Do you read a lot? How do you keep your life in balance and check? Because I would imagine with so many demands placed upon you, especially as you continue to grow and expand your business ventures, how do you keep balance in your life?
You know, that's a tough one for me because as of now, because we are still such a small business where we're still growing, there really isn't a ton of time for ourselves or for, you know, what we do is, you know, Saturday and Sunday, we try to make that our family day. You know, whether it's I spend time with my kids, we go shooting. You know, my kids are very active. My wife and I, we try to take them out as much as we can in the summer. We take them out, you know, in the boat. And so we try to have those 2 good days where it's just strictly family time.
That's cool.
And when I'm on the road, I'm not able to do that, but we still, you know, Saturday morning or Sunday morning, I'll call the kids and we spend a couple hours on the phone with each other and really just try to find something, an outlet that you like. You know, for example, I love shooting. I love shooting sports. So whether it's building guns or, you know, going target shooting with my kids, you know, I got to have that release to be able to go out there and do something that I absolutely love to do and be able to share it with my kids. So that's my outlet.
Well, that's good because I think it's important that people understand that you're a human being. I mean, you have a life and you have balance. Sometimes you're not feeling well. And what would you say would be the number one piece of advice that you could give to a young man, young woman, just leaving high school, maybe, you know, working their first job? What would you say the number one key to being successful in today's world?
You know, in my career, and it may not be for everyone else, but in my career, what I've done is, you know, go above and beyond, do the jobs people aren't willing to do. If there's something that people don't shy away from because it's hard, be that person that goes in there and gets it done.
Okay.
You know, and be ambitious about it. And for me, that's been a big part of my success is that, you know, I've been willing to take on the jobs that most people shy away from or they're too hard or whatever it may be. You know, we thrive on that. You go out there and get it done.
Have you failed?
Absolutely.
Give me an example of some place where you know that you fell short and tell me what you learned from that experience.
Well, you know, I think, you know, as a business owner, as most people know, you know, you've probably failed multiple times. And I have, you know, over the years, and it's hard to think of one specific situation, but, you know, I know growing up, you know, as a young business owner, you know, underbidding jobs and then jobs that we took on where builders went bankrupt and left me, you know, with, you know, hundreds of thousands, well, not quite, but, you know, close to $100,000 of debt. And you know, it's something that, you know, we just had to muscle through. But yeah, I think most people that are successful have failed. And that's just goes, you know, if this doesn't work, don't give up, try something else.
So because you're being so giving of your time and we're sitting right next to that awesome truck, let's spend the last few minutes giving these guys an idea of why you set your truck up the way you did. Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. So what we got here is a Mack Granite, and I learned that when you got the Gold Bulldog, it's 100% Mack equipment. I learned that, and I also found out there's another little surprise in there with a Mack in the headlight.
There's a little hidden Mack Bulldog. So this truck, you know, it is a Mack Granite, 505 horse, 1,860 foot-pounds of torque. When I spec'd this truck out, when I had it ordered, it's ordered, you know, it's built really heavy. It's got a 20,000 pound front, 26,000 pound rear. There's a lot of custom features on it that Mack did for me. The interior is 100%, you know, they're premium line, so it's leather interior, and it's you know, it's a little bit of a showstopper, but it is a real work truck.
What's it like to drive? Is it ride okay? Is it?
Oh, it rides. You know, I've had several different trucks over the years, and for being such a heavy spec truck, it's probably the best riding truck I have.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about the setup. So now I noticed that you're running the Vantage 560. That's the all-in-one unit, right? So
yeah.
It's got the generator, it's got the air compressor, it's got the full hydraulic setup so that you can run the whole setup without having to run the engine.
Yeah, you know, and especially today with all the emissions that we have on the trucks, you don't want to have this truck idling just for a PTO. So with this unit, I'm able to run everything on the truck. The hydraulic system, the air, you know, we got our welding leads here. And then of course we got our generator power to the back. So when I'm running my cut trailer, I'm able to plug it right into the back, have air in the back, and I run everything right off of this unit.
You're not line boring, are you?
No.
Okay.
No.
So why do you need this big a welder?
So my CNC plasma table takes every bit of power that this generates.
Oh wow, okay.
So when I'm running my CNC plasma table, that's why it's required to have such a big welder. Then on top of that, to be able to get such a unit where I do have the option to have the hydraulic and the air and everything else, you know, this was the right choice for us.
Okay. Now, I think this one's all locked up, so we can't get in the compartments, but I'm assuming you got keys with
Yeah,
you?
let's get on the other side. Let me show you some of the stuff. So real quick here, you know.
That's one benefit of having the owner of the truck. At the end of the show, I can still get in it. Woo-woo!
So, you know, we try to keep the trucks organized, you know, want to keep everything as, you know where everything is. I can look up there and see my batteries are all charged, you know, check them out, have all my tools lined up. But it just comes down to organization, how quick you want to be able to get in there, get the job done, put it all back.
Do you have a helper?
I do.
And so is your helper responsible for keeping batteries charged and doing this type of thing?
Yeah, he does a lot more than that. But yeah, that's one of his, you know, one of the things that he does. You know, one of my guys that works for me, Travis, you know, he's more than a helper. He's actually kind of my right-hand man. But
Sure.
Yeah, he makes sure the truck's stocked, ready to go. We have everything that we need to do the job.
Now, I heard a rumor, because I talked to a few people, that you did your own wheels and tires. You set that up because you had a better connection than some of these OEMs. Am I right? Is that
Yeah,
true?
we ended up doing our own setup there. You know, we got a hold of American Racing. They were able to get us the wheels that we needed for the truck. And, you know, at the end of the day, the truck is basically your calling card, right? You
Sure.
know, people look at it, okay, who's that?
Yeah.
And, you know, you want to stand out a little bit.
Okay.
And that's just kind of, you know, even with my shirts and everything else, you're building a brand.
And you've done a fantastic job, my friend, because I got one of his hats. So let's check out the rest of it. So back here, now because you're working in those all-weather environments, you went ahead and did the roll top
Yep.
with the metal enclosure. Is that able to keep your tools
Yeah.
out of the weather?
You know, it's not perfectly sealed, but, you know, really the stuff I put in there, I'm just trying to keep all the snow out of it.
Okay.
And it definitely helps for that. And then on top of that, security. You know,
Okay.
when you're traveling from site to site, you know, we stay at a lot of hotel rooms. So it's nice to make sure that some of my bigger tools get locked in there and I know they're going to be safe for the night.
Now, I did a full walk around with the Palfinger, so I've already done that, and I'm very familiar with this, and I think that they did this, but I understand that you were their very first tandem
Yes.
that they've ever built, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like the prototype.
I'm the prototype,
Semi-guinea
yeah.
pig. Have you had a good experience so far?
Great experience. You know, so far we've had nothing but, you know, glowing reviews on that truck. And
Good.
this truck as well. You know, when I got together with Palfinger, we worked on a lot of different things and we made some alterations to the truck, to the boxes, the way I wanted them. And they did a fantastic job with it.
So tell me this. If you were giving advice about carrying tools, now obviously you got the right rig, you got a CDL, you know, and it's properly set up for your application, but if you had to share with some of these guys, what are some things that they should consider when they're speccing out their tools and deciding what to carry? I don't know how to turn wrenches, but I understand that there's a tendency for guys to carry every single tool they ever owned on their truck.
Yeah, that happens. And I honestly did that for years.
How did you change it? What made you change, or how did you change?
Basically, it came down to, you know, instead of just carrying, you know, everything that I own, I carry the stuff that I know that I use on a daily basis.
Okay.
You know, if especially on these trucks, you know, these might be a little tooled up more than normal because these go on the road, these go up to Alaska. So I want to make sure that we do have everything. But if it's a truck that I'm running in town, you know, I don't need to carry 3/4, 3/8, half inch, 3/4, 1 inch drive on that truck.
Okay.
So what I do is I just keep, the basic stuff, and if we need it a little more, then we go get it at the shop.
What's your opinion on guys that never shut their trucks off? Like, is that just a habit that's hard to break? Because my experience is I've seen these guys that just never shut their truck off, and there's really no practical reason why they're running it. Is that just mind my own business and don't say anything, or is that something
me personally, I idle this truck as little as I can.
Okay.
The second it gets to the job site, it's off. There's no reason for that 500 horse to be sitting there just running. So I shut it off. Then if I need power, I fire up the welder, we get it going.
Okay.
But hours idled on a generator welder are a lot cheaper than idle hours on a 12, 13, whatever liter motor you have.
Absolutely.
So it's there's no sense in sitting there wasting burning fuel if you're not going to be using it.
Are you a believer in running newer trucks as opposed to running the wheels off of a truck? Having been in, and I know you have sponsorships and things like that, but from a practical sense, there's always this dilemma when I talk to field mechanics. Should I buy an older truck that I can pay cash for and run it till the wheels fall off, or should I invest in a newer piece of equipment? What's your opinion?
Honestly, my personal opinion, get what you can afford. Don't go way into debt buying a truck that you're going to work your ass off just to make a payment on. You're better off starting out slow, starting with what you can afford, and as you grow, your fleet grows with you.
Okay.
In the beginning when I first started out, I bought a 97 Dodge Ram, and I ran that thing until the wheels fell off of it.
Okay.
But I did 2 different paint jobs on it. I put my own crane on it. I worked with what I had.
But you took care of it.
I did, yeah.
You didn't pull up in a job site with everything falling apart.
No. It was still a clean truck, really nice looking truck. But again, at that time, I didn't have the ability to go out and spend a bunch of money on a truck.
Sure.
And really today, if I wasn't in the position I'm in, I wouldn't go out and buy a truck that's just as astronomical. It's crazy because it's such a big payment. Unless you have the work for it, don't do it.
Right.
Let me show you the rest of the truck. So here we got just a little bit of the drawer packs that we have. So you can see there, they're all organized.
Do you find that they're able to the stockets stay in their proper spot?
They typically do.
Okay.
I've driven these trucks all the way up to the Yukon, and
I also noticed you put some car kick-out steps.
Yeah, we got the car kick-out steps, so they're really handy, especially on these top drawers, being able to get up there. But yeah, we got, try to keep the trucks organized, try to keep everything in reach so you can get in there and get it done. I think another big mistake that guys make, I'm just as much, I love tools like everyone else, but when you're tooling up a truck like this, you don't have to go way into debt to do it.
Right.
There's a lot of quality tools out there that aren't going to break the bank.
Any particulars in particular, like that
there's a lot out there, like for impact sockets. If you're going to get impact sockets, Gray Pneumatic is a great choice.
Okay.
And it's not going to break the bank to buy it, and you can fill up your truck and get everything you need for a fraction of the price. Out of some of the tool trucks.
Okay, I like that. Lighting. Are you overlighted, underlighted? Like how do you handle scene lighting when you're working, or do you not work a lot at night?
We do work at night. I got some pretty decent light on this. I actually just bought some new Grodes I'm going to put on the truck, so I got some bigger spotlights I'm going to put out there. Okay. Because sometimes there is a lot of areas where there's no coverage, so we got some bigger lights and better lights for the truck that we're going to be installing. Okay.
Well, hey man, I got to tell you, it's a absolutely drop dead gorgeous truck.
Thank you.
It stands out, and everybody knows when this bright orange truck shows up who owns it and who it represents. And I hope that all of us will continue to support Juan.
Hey, thank you, sir.
And all of his shows. And he's working out of Reno, and he's covering Alaska occasionally. It's a seasonal type of deal, and he's been very gracious with his time. He's a consummate professional, and that's what we do at Service Trucks USA.
Thank you.
Told you I got some badass friends.
All right, KJ. Thanks, buddy.
Man,
appreciate it.
So join me every Wednesday for a new episode of Service Trucks USA. I can't wait to explore this fascinating industry with you. and let's see where this journey takes us. Subscribe right now to Service Trucks USA on your favorite platform so you'll never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Service Trucks USA. That's Service TRUX USA, where you'll get even more great content, discussions, and resources related to vocational service trucks. I look forward to getting to know each of you better. Until then, keep your fingers dirty and your nose clean. This is your guy, your man, your dude, KJ, signing off.